If you do have one and you'd like to let me know, feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to start sharing my screen and we'll start our slideshow. Okay, everybody got my slides up? Is it showing? Yeah. Perfect. All right. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Carbondale. Today is November 18th, 2020. Our guest speaker is the Rotary Club of Carbondale itself, and Gayla Borgnoni and Jan Payne, and our grant recipients from our foundation. Let me get this guy here. Oh. Verify the link that I've clicked each week. Here's our bell. Thank you, Shane Hermits, for being our greeter today. Now it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance. We didn't have a volunteer, so I'm going to nominate Faith Miller. Faith, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today? Did we lose Faith?
No, you didn't. I'm here. Just had to figure out which button to push to unmute because I'm multitasking. So everybody, please rise. Or put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Faith. Time for a moment of reflection. I figured today, since we are talking about our grant recipients for the day or for the year, our moment of reflection is from Tim Cook, the CEO at Apple. You want to be the pebble in the pond that creates the ripple for change. So the contributions that we make on an annual basis end up having a great ripple effect with all the organizations that we touch and we impact as a club. So thank you all for your continued contributions and our efforts in the community. For song time this week, this is back by popular demand. We did this a couple weeks ago, and we're going to do it again because I heard some people needed a smile this week. So here is my son, a couple months back now, just being his goofy self. I saw some smiles and laughter out there. Baby laughter is always contagious. So. All right, now it's time for introduction of our guests. Shane, could you please introduce our guests today?
We have with us today, we have traveling Rotarian R. Bex with us today. Say hello, R. And then we also have our grant recipients, and I'll let them introduce themselves when we get closer to that part of the presentation, if that's okay.
Sounds good. Time for some club announcements. We'll keep our meeting rolling here. Club officer election for the Rotary year 2021-2022. It's that time again to seek Rotarians to lead our club in the coming years. I think we have some great newer members here and some members that have been around for a little while that would be a great fit for president nominee, designee. Currently the secretary-elect is vacant. The treasurer-elect is vacant. That's Jim Grant. Committee chairs, if you're interested in becoming a committee chair, please let me know, and we'll get you guys into those lists and make sure that we can continue to have the impact that we have. Club announcements continued. We do need help with our monthly doodle polls. As you saw this week, Shane's covering 2, I covered 1. Had to nominate some people here today, so please check the chat. I've sent a couple messages to folks to see if we can fill some needs towards the end of the meeting. That we do need people to do those. We don't have a clipboard we're sending around like we did when we were in person, but please volunteer to fill those needs so we can all do our 100 little things. We currently have 42 projects completed. So thank you Egyptian Electric for a couple of these recently, with spray cans and light bulb recycling, electronics recycling. I love Operation Vampire. We had 100 pints of blood that have been donated this year. I got a call from the Red Cross yesterday. They already want me to schedule mine. That's already almost 2 months away. I can't donate again until January, and they want me to schedule. So if you've not donated blood this year, or you're due to donate again, they are looking at dealing with a shortage nationwide with everybody going through what we're going through. So please donate blood. 25 more projects are underway. Operation Santa, Toys for Tots Drive. Gayla, do you want to touch base on the Toys for Tots Drive? We may have lost Gayla. I'm not sure. I don't see her on my, she's muted right now. I'll unmute you here. While we're waiting on Gayla, the Help Hunger. So the Scouting for Food drive that is done annually, I was going to be asking everyone if we were in person to donate canned goods for Scouting for Food. If you could please look at your groceries, put together an extra order of canned goods. We're still trying to fill the pantries locally. I believe we've got Kroger set up to be a drop location, and we're working on some others throughout our area, but I'll post some links in the chat and in the follow-up email. Due to the local health department guidelines, we were not able to blanket our area with blue bags as we have in the past. So that was shut down last week just before we did our drive. But 100 cans of canned goods, I think we can do that as a club. Let me know and I can come by, send me your address and I can come by and get some cans from you. Or just let me know if you donate them at Kroger or one of our other locations. But I'll put some information into the chat and in the follow-up, or in the follow-up email with different ways that you can give. We have a text to give campaign that is going directly to buy food for local food pantries as well. So Gayla, I see you're unmuted now. Can you tell us about the Toys for Tots Drive?
Yes, I can. And I have collected several small items, mostly for older girls and boys. The areas of ages that we're concentrating on as far as need are the babies and young children in the age 10 to 12. And if you would call me, any of you, I would be happy to pick up items, or I can tell Patty Cosgrove, who I'm working with, that if you drop off toys at Toys for Tots, to be sure to tell Patty that you are dropping off for Rotary. So both of you will know where the toys are coming from, Patty and yourself.
I see a note in the chat about Toys for Tots only accepting new items, correct? So my understanding
That is,
they have to be new, unwrapped.
that's exactly right. And I think I mentioned last week they have an abundance of Barbie dolls that they've had left over from last year even. So that is an item. Games are very popular, particularly where there's maybe 3 or 4 kids in the family. They seem to be very popular. And as I mentioned before, footballs, basketballs, soccer balls, activities, jump ropes are another item that are always useful. But those are a few of the items you might want to think about.
Okay, and then we have plenty of other projects. I know Jerry Malumbi was working on the $100 per member to the Harvey Welch Scholarship, 100 coats, 100 gloves, 100 hats, so many more. Please visit rotaryofcarbondale.org/centennial for the complete list of projects that are currently underway. Additional club announcements. Our active service projects continued. The Carbondale Warming Center Lunch Sponsorship Project. Today's menu at the Warming Center, provided by Heartland Catering, is chicken tortellini soup, chicken salad, Italian subs, pears, and cottage cheese. Something to note here, we are running low on the COVID fund to be able to support this. On your invoice each month or quarterly, however you're billed, there's a note in that email about those that are continuing to pay their meal fee, even though we are not paying our meal fee to Heartland to eat ourselves. Heartland is preparing those meals and providing them to the warming center. So we had some discussion at the board meeting last night and wanted to share this with you, that each week, whether we're meeting in person or Heartland is providing meals to the warming center, we pay $250. That's the minimum that we have for the meals that we would have in person. We as a club elected to continue to do that back in March when this started, because we wanted to continue to support the business of Heartland Catering and have, somebody employed here in the region, as well as provide those meals to the warming center. So it's really a twofold project that we've completed, but those funds are depleting, continuously here. So the $250 that we have been continuing to pay for Heartland does continue to support that business as well as the warming center itself. So the material support project with the warming center, I saw Gail jump on. Do you want to touch on that at all?
Sure. Partly would fall under good news. I'm sure many of you saw the announcement recently that the laborers union made a generous donation to the warming center, which gives them some breathing room to get through a good part of the winter. However, Carmelita has told me they still need donations of disposable plates, silverware, cups, also coffee supplies, beverages, or cash. Certainly is always a good thing. As Rick said, hopefully we can continue supporting the meals on Wednesday through our club. But there's a bit of good news to share about the warming center as well.
Thank you, Gail. And yes, if you do donate blankets or hats or gloves, things like that to the warming center, please let Shane or I know so we can continue to knock that off our 100 little things. It's not that we need to know exactly what's given and want to keep account to beat our chests. It's that we want to be able to keep track of what we're doing and the impact we're having on the community.
And Rick, just to add, if anyone has something to donate and you're not comfortable going directly to the warming center, if you'll reach out to me, I'll be glad to pick it up and deliver for you.
Okay. Rotary International news, continuing the polio update. So there are three types of wild types of polio, 1, 2, and 3. People need to be protected against all three types of the virus in order to prevent polio disease, and the polio vaccination is the best protection. Type 2 wild polio virus was declared eradicated in September of 2015. Type 3 wild polio was declared eradicated in October of 2019, and only type 1 remains. There are 2 vaccines to prevent against it. And as of November 4th of 2020, here's a summary of the viruses this week. Afghanistan only has 20 cases. Pakistan had 1 of each, or 2 cases there. So we're getting very close to completely eradicating polio. So we need to continue that fight. So thank you for your continued contribution. And the link here, polioeradication.org. I'll let you guys continue to type that in or click it if you need to or if you'd like to follow up on that. Now it's time for some of your good news from fellow Rotarians. Any good news to share, folks?
Just wanted to share one of my former students. It's on the Rotary Facebook page. Allie Corson, who was the recipient of the Kleinberg Scholarship. She sent a nice note to one of the faculty about a job she was able to secure based on some online curriculum that we're doing. And we're proud of her and we wanted to share. And it's like, okay, you know, Rotarians picked some good students and scholarship recipients. So she's doing well. And just kudos to all of the SIU students, in particular ours, since I'm partial to that group. They've, knock on wood, we're in our last week and we haven't had a single issue in terms of concerns about the virus coming out of our area. Now, have we had issues, you know, with students or faculty or whatever? Yes, but nobody, no patient that has been to the clinic have had any issues with that. And that's due in part to their compliance, their adherence to the guidelines, and all of the staff, students, and faculty working collectively. So they are to be commended for that.
My good news is I'm heading south tomorrow morning for Florida, and I'll greet you next Wednesday from Jupiter.
I have more of an announcement.
So this is not exactly Rotarian related good news, but the journalist Molly Parker, journalist for the Southern, you know, we had her visit a couple of years ago to talk about her investigative reporting on the Alexander County Housing Authority. Well, it was just announced in the Southern that she is one of the first, I think it's 5 fellows for ProPublica. So a program that they've just started. Molly is one of the first ones and will be focusing on investigative journalism for Southern Illinois, and something that certainly we can all use. And her reporting on the Alexander Housing Authority problems, you know, instigated great change there. So power to the press.
I just have an announcement. On December 1st, Egyptian Electric, we've also partnered with the Southern Illinois Community Foundation, and they're doing a 30-hour campaign. And so several 501c3 not-for-profits in the southernmost 17 counties are listed on their website, and you can donate on that day. And if you donate on that day, then they will get a percentage. So like whatever, at the end of the day, whatever of the whole amount, one of the not-for-profits gets a certain percentage, then they get that same percentage in the corporate match fund. And I know SIH, I know has put in $10,000 and Egyptian Electric has put in some money. So if you want to donate to your favorite not-for-profit, that's a great day to do that. So I'll share that link on the chat here. And just for reference of a few of them, Bald Knob Cross, Autism Society of Southern Illinois, Boys and Girls Club, Bren Prep School Foundation, Carbondale Parks and Rec Foundation, the Humane Society, Night Shield, Perry Jackson Child Advocacy, our Revitalize 62966 group, Saluki Food Pantry, the Southern Illinois Food Pantry Network, Science Center, the Women's Center, just to name a few of some of those not-for-profits that'll be a part of that.
I'd like to take a really quick second to brag on the Jackson County CEO class. They have just announced their class of business, which will be the Southern Illinois Shop Local Scavenger Hunt. So they're underway on that. They're looking for a way to have a socially distanced event that helps be a fundraiser for the class business that goes on to fund the seed capital for the individual businesses they will start as high school students. That just launched. The details are available at the Jackson County CEO Facebook page. They're just starting to roll it out, but it looks like it's going to be a great event, and they're working really hard I'm so incredibly proud of them because, especially with what's going on right now, everything is limited. Everything's in question. They're having to work through all of these wild challenges that no previous class has had to do. And I want to share that good news. I'm excited to see them thriving, under the challenging circumstances.
Well, I want to thank all of the teachers, past and present and future teachers. I got 2 kids that are in college that are doing remote learning, and teachers never hear thank you. Both my kids are thankful for the teachers that they have. They do put the time and energy in, and they're doing it double, when you look at the way they're having to teach like this. So thank you for having patience with students also, because I know the students probably don't say it enough, but they do kind of brag on the teachers to their parents. So thank you for what you're doing.
I just wanted to mention that off of what was mentioned earlier by Brooke about the Southern Illinois Gives, one of those entities is the Southern Illinois Food Pantry Network. So there are over 90 food pantries in the lower 16 counties. So that group works with them, and funding right now is being raised in order to buy freezers and refrigerators for food pantries. Many have had to turn away donations of fresh fruits and vegetables and meat because they don't have the proper storage and refrigeration freezer space. So currently in the campaign, $20,000 was just recently raised through Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois to help purchase more refrigerators and freezers. So that's exciting. And then I wanted to give a shout out to Ella. She's going to be a speaker at Carbondale and Thanksgiving. That'll happen on the 23rd that evening. So if anyone's interested in attending and registering for that Zoom event, it's 7 to 8 that night. I believe it's the 14th year. And I was going to ask show of hands, whoever has ever attended that event. Because it's a really neat event where faith communities from throughout Southern Illinois, or throughout Carbondale, attend and share little pieces of their faith. And it's a really inspirational event of Thanksgiving. So excited to see Ella speak on that.
Do we have any other good news for the day? That's great. Having participated in similar days to Give SI Day in the past, that's a tremendous opportunity to stretch your gifts. So whatever organization you choose to support through that program, I highly recommend it. Thank you to those organizations. I think she said Egyptian Electric and SIH that have both made major contributions to that program. So thank you guys so much. Sergeant at Arms, Shane, go ahead, find me again, Gail. Sergeant at Arms, Gail, the floor is yours.
I was just getting ready to give you a kudos for showing up today as opposed to your performance last week. I'm not insulted being called Shane, but Shane might be insulted being called Gail. So we'll debate on that one later. I'm not aware of any big celebrations, anniversaries, birthdays that are big number events to help with our contributions to our foundation fund. But in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'd encourage everybody to find something that you're particularly interested in supporting, and hopefully our special fund through our club would be one that you would consider making a contribution to during the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Gail. Guest speaker time, Jan and Gayla. So I know Gayla's on the call. Let me unmute you here. Oh. I went to unmute her and I muted her. There you go. Gail.
I'm sorry, hit the wrong button. I don't think Jan's online, is she?
Jan is not on the call today.
Okay. Well, it's always a privilege to have the people that represent the organizations that we do donate money through the foundation each year. Some of the people that are with us today are repeats, some are new, and Since I can't see anyone, I'm just going to call on the organization. I do want to remind everyone that the funds were given to the organizations earlier this year, so they have had the money. So there won't be any check presentations today. But there was also some concern from some of the charities that the money we gave to them was not going to be used this year because they were unable to hold the function that they had hoped to use the money for. But since we had voted and approved that the organizations get the money, we did go ahead and give them money, hoping that maybe next year they can have a bigger event or more special event. So I did want to let the club know that too. But I'm going to call on first Angie Bailey. I believe Angie's there. Angie represents Camp Beta. Angie, do you have a few words?
Yes, hello. Thank you all for the. Sorry. Oh, I'm muted. I'm unmuted now, right? Okay. So thank you all for the generous donation for Camp Beta. We're really excited about it. With everything COVID, we have not been able to hold our event this year, but the planning group continues to meet. We're fleshing out some more policies and procedures and planning for the future, developing a guidebook and some other resources so that when we can have Camp Beta in the future, we will do that.
You muted. Your mute came back.
We lost you, Angie. You're muted. There you
Oh,
go.
okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. For those who haven't ever heard about it, Camp Beta is a camp that is free for children with type 1 diabetes. So in the chat, I'll post a link to pictures from past events. We do have members that continue to reach out of the planning committee that continue to reach out to families to stay in touch with them in the time of COVID. But if there is anything, if anyone from this group would like to be involved, as I said, we are continuing to plan for future events once we can do that safely. The camp's always held at Touch of Nature. Lots of fun activities. It is one overnight for those children. So a great event. Gayla's on our planning committee and helps us raise funds. So again, much appreciated, and thank you for your support over the last couple of years for Camp Beta.
Thank you, Angie. I did want to mention too that the award to Camp Beta was in the amount of $600. The next organization is the Diaper Bank. Cindy Buys, and is Mrs. Swanson or Ms. Swanson on the phone representing the Diaper Bank?
So I am here. I'm not the person in charge of the diaper bank, but I will say that I know that they have had to change their operations like other organizations during COVID. They are still delivering diapers, including to babies and toddlers at the warming center and at Good Sam, where they had a baby that was born to a woman that was at the warming center a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, the diaper bank is still in operation. So I know that the money that was given to the diaper bank is still being put to very good use. So thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Cindy. The amount awarded to the diaper bank was $1,000. Rick, Boy Scouts of America.
Yes, so as with some of the other organizations, our program that we had laid out kind of took a turn. So we had written the grant to support a partnership with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southern Illinois. And back in January and February, we kicked off a program of our Tiger Cub program, our Tiger Cubs with kindergartners and first graders. There were over 30 of them at the Boys and Girls Club. So the grant covered the membership fees and training materials. and some different materials to get them started. But unfortunately, because we weren't able to continue the program with the Boys and Girls Club with all the schools going remote this year, they had to pull back from what they were doing, and we are evaluating whether or not we can continue the program in 2021. But the remainder of the grant was used to support other membership assistance that we have throughout our program. So we, not just through that program, we paid all the fees and trainings for those staff members and all the youth that were involved in that program. We also have youth in our other traditional Cub Scout programs and the traditional Boy Scout programs. We have other people who also request financial assistance to help pay for those things. And our council usually doesn't turn down any of those. As long as there's a viable need, we will support those kids. We don't let any kid we don't let any kid miss out on scouting due to a financial need. So those funds were given. Last year, we did over $8,000 in camp grants and financial assistance to kids in Southern Illinois. So those funds helped contribute to that.
The amount that was granted to the Boy Scouts was $1,500. The next one was sponsored by Ella Lacey, and that's the I Can Read program of Southern Illinois. And Margaret, I believe you're on the phone, aren't you? Margaret Nesbitt?
Gayla, I'm not sure that Margaret ever got on. I did call her, and she said there are some technical difficulties involved. She wanted everybody to know that she did come on when there were 8 persons present. She said the participant list showed 8 people were present, but she couldn't see or hear anyone. So she went off, and when I called her, she was going to try it again. So I guess it didn't work. So I'll give a little overview of things if you don't want mine.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Please do.
Okay. Well, the I Can Read program is truly grateful for having received the Rotary grant. It was going to be the first time that we had had a brand new computer. So we had requested to purchase a computer with a widescreen and a printer. And we were just going to be so functionally operational with that. But just as we received our check and everything, of course, things changed. So we have not made the purchase yet because we aren't going to the building. But we do expect to go ahead. 2 board members of I Can Read have been assigned the responsibility of proceeding to purchase the computer, and we will use it for Zoom meetings. It will be very nice for one person to go to the building and have the very nice screen with a modern computer up to date and everything, and do their Zoom sessions. We have met with the superintendent of the district, Mr. Booth, and he agreed that there's definitely need for the I Can Read program at this time. But because we decided that because the children are on the computers so much of the time, we really don't want to make it more than 20-minute sessions at a time. So we're going to do individual or small group meetings in that way. And we sent letters to all of the parents already. And we're pretty well primed and ready to start our Zoom I Can Read. So again, thank you for that grant, and I'm sure Margaret would love to have been here to talk with you because she does such a great job at it. And she also said when it was on the phone, it would have been the first time she had been here. She thought since Harvey Welch had been a member, and Harvey had been such a great supporter, so she was just thinking about all of that. So again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ella. The grant to the I Can Read program was $1,000. The next grant was given to Faith Temple, and Pam Umloff was the sponsor, and Glenda Capon was going to be with us today to give us a little information. Glenda or Pam, are you there? No. Neither one of them are there. Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you that the reason the money was requested apparently they wanted, the program is called Each One Teach One. And it was a program that was going to teach basic food preparation and kitchen safety skills. And it's for children ages 10 to 14. And they were going to have up to 50 participants, but I would doubt very much that that happened. But that is a small amount of information on that organization. And they were granted $750. Betty Muchka was sponsored by Christine McGuire, and she is with the Perry Jackson County Child Advocacy Program, and they were granted $1,500. Betty, you're there, aren't you?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you all very much for we were a new grant, I think, this year. I've never gotten this grant before. Our grant we used to pay for counseling for our kids. Once we get referrals from DCFS or law enforcement on kids that have been sexually or physically abused, we do forensic interviews on them at our facility, either here in Pinckneyville or in Murfreesboro. And after that interview, a lot of times they need some trauma-specific mental health. And we have some private providers that we contract with, and I have a grant that pays for most of that. But I wrote this grant because at the time we were starting to run really close on funds, and I didn't want to have to make kids stop going to counseling. So this grant was very helpful to help for us to be able to keep those kids in counseling. And I did get an increase in my grant this year. So I didn't realize how much the counseling funds were going to be used until they were, and then they were gone. So I had to write for extra, which is great. I did that. So all I want to really say is I've always said to people that our doors are always open. You can come in for a tour anytime you want to. And now with COVID, I've realized that I can probably need to stop saying that just because we are essential. So we're open throughout the pandemic, and I have to make sure that my staff and us stay safe so that we can interview kids whenever we need to. But tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I'm going to do a virtual tour. I'm going to do a Facebook Live tour of our center because lots of people call me and they'll say, what does your little house do? What do you guys do in there? People seem to be intrigued that we have this little house and they don't know what we do. And I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for let people see what we do inside of here and tell them what we do. And it's trying to kick off the Give SI campaign and trying to get people aware of what we do in COVID times. So, I mean, I would always give you all a tour if you wanted one. But if you log into our Facebook page tomorrow at 2, you can do it from your own home. So I will put a link to our Facebook page in the bottom. But again, we appreciate the funds very much because it prevented kids from having to have a huge gap in their mental health services and provided them the necessary tools to move on from their trauma. So thank you.
Thank you. The next one is the Boys and Girls Club. They received a grant of $600. Ginger Murray was the sponsor, and Tina Carpenter, are you with us? Ginger?
Tina is not with us today.
Okay. Well, I did want to let you know there was a grant of $600, and I'm not really sure what the funds were going to be used for. The next one is Becky Needham with the University of Illinois Extension 4-H program. The grant amount was $1,000, and the sponsor was Ed Reeder. Becky?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting us these last several years on the Carbondale 8th grade teen conference. We did not have it due to COVID, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get to have it this year because the schools are overwhelmed and I don't want to throw one more thing at them right now. However, the grant that we gave is just going into the 8th grade teen conference budget. So when it does resume, the money will get used just for the 8th grade teen conference. The kids that come to that are all 8th graders that are going to enter Carbondale High School. And it's a really good opportunity for these kids to get to learn what the high school has to offer, how they're going to get what they need to know to get through it, what's available for them. The high school does the entire conference, so they hear from the sports people, and the lifesavers come and teach them about how to juggle life. And they have a student board that comes and answers, just like a panel. They answer questions that the kids have, and they have the Skills USA come and talk about what they can do after high school that is vocational if they want. And they also get to see their guidance counselor and talk about what to expect and if they're going to be looking into colleges in the future. So it's a good way for these kids to kind of come and get to meet each other. They get their first high school class teacher usually, and they all get to meet each other and talk, and they get mixed up in every meeting. So they meet new kids throughout the day. Makes it a lot easier for those smaller schools like DeSoto, Giant City, and Unity Point who come the first day of actual high school, because they'll know some of the kids from Carbondale Middle School because it's so big. So I do thank you, and we will hold on to it until we have it again, and we will have it again.
Thank you, Becky. The total dollar amount for the grants was $7,950. And you also should be aware of that it's time to do grants for this year. You should be able to download a form on our website to submit. It must be mailed, postmarked, and I believe the date that it has to be postmarked, the final date is December 13th, if I'm correct. So be sure and take a look at that. Remember that this is normally for youth programs, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to support some of the ones that we have currently, and hopefully we'll be able to find new organizations too. Thank you, everybody. I'm finished.
All right, so, wrong site. This should be it. Nope, that's not it either. There it is. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen right now to pull up our website. If you as an organization would like to apply again this year, it needs to be sponsored by a Rotarian in our club. Under the About Us section, there's the Foundations tab. And in that Foundations tab is our grant request form for this year. So please make sure that your organizations that you'd like to support this year, Rotarians, get this form. They do need to be postmarked by December 12th. So it's a quick grant request application form. Want to thank, on behalf of the Boy Scouts of America, I want to thank the club for supporting us this year. We'll continue to look at that for future years. But make sure that you get your nonprofits you support that we'd like to continue supporting with these grants, this form for next year. Now for next week, we'll go right into next week is Thanksgiving. So we do not have a meeting the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I don't know why my screen share is paused. There we go. So we do not have a meeting next week, but December 2nd, we have Gary Schaefer of the Southern Illinois Airport, followed by our very own Sierra Allen, speaking with us on December 9th about the Grace Movement. And on the 16th, we have Jane Ott of Moms Demand Action. We've got some great speakers coming up in the month of December. Now it's time for the four-way test. And we will have the four-way test as a group. So if everybody could please join me in the four-way test. The four-way tests of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it
the truth?
Second, is it fair
to all concerned?
Third, will it build
goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth, will it be
beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you for joining us this week with the Rotary Club of Carbondale. And we will see you next week.
Everybody.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Everybody.
Everybody.